Okay, a great show to come where we have World Cup racing from South Africa, downhill in Argentina, top XC action from the Copa Catalana International, and all the stars turn out for the first downhill race of note in the US. What an opening round to the UCI Cross Country this was. The 2018 series is going to be a banger because it has started with dusty, rock-strewn, fast-paced fireworks in Stellenbosch, South Africa. In the men's category, we were desperate to see if anyone would be able to take the race to Nino Schurter. Last year, he was unbeatable, and his desire for the win doesn't seem to have dropped. The start was a furious pace and it lasted for the entire first lap. Schurter was right there, as was Specialized Sam Gaze from New Zealand. These two were heading for a battle royale, but eyes were also on danger man Mathieu van der Poel during this first lap. He was starting from way back down the start grid, so the cyclocross star would need to cut his way through a lot of traffic to be in contention. But from 47th on the grid, Van der Poel pushed his way through, and by the end of the first lap, he was well inside the top 20 and moving up. Schurter and Gaze pulled away from the rest, but Maxime Marot kept his Cannondale within striking distance. He'd been gapped, although as the race closed, he started to move back towards the front too, and by the very last moments of the race, he had the best seat in the house to watch Gaze and Schurter sprint for the line. During the race, they'd swapped the lead, both tried attacks on climbs, but a sprint had been written all over this one. During the last half of the final lap, Gaze had managed to hold the advantage and would sprint from the front. Nino had tried a few last gasp downhill manoeuvres to move past, but couldn't do it. So he had to put the power down and bring it to Gaze. In the end, it was Gaze who held on and finally put an end to Schurter's winning streak at World Cups. However, Schurter had slipped a pedal in the sprint, so crossed the line banging his fist in desperation, clearly believing he could have challenged Gaze further. We will never know, but hard to take anything away from either man really. Sam Gaze takes this week, but Schurter is also clearly on form. What a season we have ahead from these two. Add to that a very fast and determined Maxime Marot too. He will have taken a lot of heart from this result. He was very, very close by the end. And fourth place man was the incredible Van der Poel, who had a frighteningly fast start to the season and has got a lot more to come. In the women's, it was a much more open race and harder to call. The start was again important, and Jolanda Neff let us all know that her shoulder injury was not going to hold her back as she led the way. In there right from the start was Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, Annie Lars, Annika Langvad and Catherine Pendrell. Langvad took out a lead, but a mistake cost her some time and Ferrand-Prévot took advantage. It was between these two as Langvad closed in again and then started to pull away for the win. This was the fourth time Annika Langvad has won the first round of the season. Must be incredible preparation at hand there. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot was on form. A mechanical had made it hard for her to challenge Langvad further. Clearly she's in great shape though. In third, it was Anne Torber who had kept the front two honest, but not quite close enough to challenge. It was a lonely race for her, but 4th, 5th and 6th was a group sprint. Helen Grober going right past Maya Wawzowska and a fading Jolanda Neff to take 4th on the line. A great first race to the season, and it sets up a mouth-watering round 2 that will also have the introduction of the short track race at the start of the weekend, which will decide the top 16 of the start grid, so that is going to be very interesting. Now let's head over to South America for the Argentinian National Downhill Champs, which took place over the weekend, and it was a very rough and rocky descent in Las Heras in the province of Mendoza. All the riders would be facing this one, and these guys were dealing with blown out loose turns, some seriously big drops, and where the track straightened out, it was really high speed run down to the finish line. First place and the new national downhill champ is Alexis Gianaga. He had a 200th of a second gap over Santiago de Santiago and Geronimo Paez. Congrats to Alexis. Great stuff over there in Argentina. Let's head over back to Spain for the Copa Catalana International. Light overnight rain left the ground in perfect shape for a great race. A record number of 550 riders started out, but it was a battle of 3 in the men's race. Marios Sinus fell behind in the intense battle between Catalan champion Alejandro Gomez and Spanish marathon champ Ismael Ventura. Gomez and Ventura worked together pushing relays to distance themselves from Sinus and the rest of the pack, but Gomez had the legs when it came to the climbs and took the victory. The penultimate lap had seen Gomez opening a 10-second gap, which he was able to hold until the finish line. Sandra Santanes of Olympia Factory Cycling won the women's elite category, securing her 2nd place in the women's general points race so far. The biggest margin of victory of the day by far went to Pasquine Vandermooten in the junior women's race, who secured a win by, wait for it, 6 minutes. The Copa Catalana looks like a great event, definitely one we should all be checking out. In the US, the downhill elites were on course for round 1 of the Pro Gravity Tour at Windrock Bike Park. Big names testing new teams and new bike setups for 2018. Danny Hart was on board the Saracen in competition for the first time and started with a huge win against a very strong field that included new teammate Matt Walker, all the Santa Cruz Syndicate, and Nico Mullally of the YT Mob, to name a few. The rain had come down in the finals, which had made things extra difficult as all the training runs had been in the dry. Typical. Conditions that always seemed to suit Danny though. He'd been consistent all weekend and was going to be tough to beat. Dakota Norton put in a great ride for 2nd place, just putting out Lucas Shaw, who was the first man down of the syndicate. They'd been testing at Windrock all week, so had probably not enjoyed the change in conditions. Danny served it to all these guys though by a clear 2nd and started 2018 campaign with a bang. In the women, privateer Caroline Washam was leagues ahead of the rest with a 37-second gap. Really interested to see what you guys have been doing out there, so make sure you send us your podium shots if you've made the grade somewhere. Just like this one from Joseph Raffo, who's just 9 years and hitting the podium in the Championship of the Pyrenees in Sabazec in the south of France. He took the win by 25 seconds on his UK-made Isla Bike rig. Nice one, congratulations Joseph, and thanks for sending in your podium shot. Send us your podiums and your local race news to racenews@gmbn.com. I look forward to seeing it. Thanks for watching this week's race news. Discuss the results and let us know what you think all this means for the 2018 season in the comment section down below the video. Click here to see a video about the World Cup cross-country courses we've got coming up this year, and make sure you hit the link to subscribe and give me a thumbs up if you like racing. See you next week.